What's up, everybody? It's your girl Lish Speaks, and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, welcome to the party, welcome to the family, welcome to the community. If you're back for another one, thank you so much for joining me again. You could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with me, and I appreciate you for that. Over here, we do something called the 7 series. And if it's your first time experiencing that, let me tell you what it is. It's a series where I share with you 7 things that I'm learning about something, loving about something, maybe hating about something, 7 things that I think will encourage and enhance your life. And today, we're gonna be talking about 7 things that I had to spin the block on. Yes, 7 things that I stopped doing for some reason or the other that I've decided to re-engage in this season and how that's impacted my life. I think you're gonna really enjoy this one. Lock in and let's enjoy the 7 series together. Okay, so these are not in any particular order. They're just 7 things that I've recently reintroduced to my life, re-engaged in, and really started to realize that I was missing these things and needed to have these things back in my life. The first one is going to be magazines. So I've recently started to buy magazines again. I actually asked my sister for a subscription to Essence magazine for my birthday, which was a month or change ago. I'm really excited about it because Essence in particular was my favorite magazine to get a subscription to. It was like a gift every month. I really enjoy, I enjoy reading stories. I enjoy interviews. It's something that I'm really passionate about. I also really enjoy just seeing and being able to touch and turn the pages, what's trending, what's up and coming, information about different things. I like the fact that Essence in particular talks about different areas of being a Black woman. So you're gonna get beauty, you're gonna get home, you're gonna get politics, you're gonna get fashion. I love it. But I also have recently purchased Vogue, Roots magazine, just different print publications. And it's funny because they're not easy to find anymore, believe it or not. I went into my local grocery store and there was not an Essence magazine. I was like, alrighty, what is going on? I was very shocked by that. But I was able to get some home decor magazines. I really love home decor, which you guys don't know that about me, but we'll get there. I really love home decor. I'm really into art and yeah, just making things around me beautiful. So I was able to get some magazines there. But one of the things I've had to spin the block on recently is just getting back into print media. Something that was once such a large part of my life. There was a time in my life where I probably got at least 7 magazines in the mail per month. And this is as an adult. And that also just goes to show you how quickly technology changes things. Because in my 20s, magazines were still a thing. And now they are not. And so I'm getting back into print publications and just turning the pages, actually feeling the pages turn in my fingers while being entertained. And that also goes into another thing that I have gotten into. So number 2 on the list of things that I had to spin the block for is reading for enjoyment. Yes, reading for enjoyment. You know, when you are a person who teaches, a person who speaks a lot, and just a person who wants to learn, you can find yourself reading simply for knowledge or self-improvement or betterment or to understand so that you can be educated when you speak on a certain topic. And these are all good things, okay? These are all good things. I am still going to read. In fact, I just finished a book for something that we're studying now at my church. And I will continue to do those things. But I realized that it had been a very long time.
A long periodically time.
Since I had read a book just to read a book. Something that was not real, something that was, you know, not rooted in me being better, right? Again, I've talked about this on this channel before, like not seeing yourself as a constant project. Well, when you're constantly reading self-improvement literature, it's hard not to see yourself as a constant project. So I've started reading for enjoyment again. And that doesn't always mean that every book is fiction or every book is fantasy or fun. Sometimes it just is the lens with which you read the book, right? So one of the books that I'm reading right now is by Candice Brathwaite, and it's called Manifesto, Unlock the Life You Deserve. And this is a perfect example, right? It's still a book that is going to help me but I'm reading it through the lens of discovery of myself, discovery of this like new lane that I'm in media, discovery of maybe the way that I go about the next few years of my life. And so it is for my enjoyment. I'm not making it a thing, right? Also, I've been reading books by Kennedy Ryan. I love Kennedy Ryan, author of color, writes great books about Black women and women of color and their lives. And yes, it's just fake characters, fictional issues. It's very, 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 very good for me. I'm also looking for suggestions. I am not the kind of person that can read like fantasy, like a dragon, and I would like to be there. Because one of my good friends and my husband and plenty of people in my life, my dad even, they love those kind of fantasy books. That's a little too suspended from reality for me. Like, I'm like, why do I care about the dragon? I don't care, you know? But if you guys have suggestions, I'd be happy to take a look. Maybe I need to audio book those. That might be a thing. But yes, I've really started to read again. Physical books, because I'm a big audio book girl as well. Shout out to Audible. Audible, holla at me, okay? Okay. Yeah, I'm a big audio book girl. But I started to read some physical books again, which you guys are probably seeing in the B-roll. And it's really been helping me to, one, slow down. It's helping me to slow down. Helps me not to scroll, because sometimes when I'm listening to something on Audible, I'll still be scrolling social media. It busies my hands and calms my spirit. So I had to spin the block on regular books in this season. Okay, so the next thing that I had to spin the block on is something that you may be like, girl, what? But hear me out. I had to spin the block on drinking green tea. Yes, drinking green tea. I was a heavy green tea girl in my early 20s. I drank green tea morning, noon, and night. I drink oolong tea. I drink pu'er tea. I hope I'm saying that right. I was a tea girly. And somewhere in the last couple of years, I became heavy on coffee. This may or may not have to do with the fact that I married a person who drinks a ton of coffee. But I started drinking coffee and energy drinks. I know. The Celsius, I put it in my veins, it's bad. But I started drinking coffee and Celsius, and it was a little bit too much for me. Now, I ain't gonna say I'm never gonna drink Celsius or coffee again. That's a lie. But I had to spin the block on green tea for a couple of reasons. One, I just remember how good it made me feel, how much it even helped with like hunger and cravings and craving sweet things and different things like that. And so I had to spin the block on my green tea. I went and got a huge box of it from Trader Joe's. And I just allow it to kind of calm me. I love tea. I'm a tea girly. I had gotten really, really into like spice chai. And that's great too, but there are some properties of green tea that just work very well with my body. I'm a little bit of milk in my tea girly. I'm a little bit of honey in my tea girly. And so I've been really getting back into green tea, and I find that it's just calming. It helps me to really take a moment to myself. A lot of these things that I'm talking about, you'll notice that they are things that help me slow down, get back to taking my time to do things, right? Like grabbing a Celsius real quick, I can just chug that. You know, my husband often makes my coffee, so he'll bring me coffee, or if I'm drinking iced coffee, it's just, there's no peace in it. And I find that when I'm making myself a nice little cup of green tea, adding a little bit of honey or a little brown sugar or a little bit of milk, there's just a stillness about it. And I also find that green tea kind of releases energy for me in a way that, I don't know, it makes sense for my body. It's a slow release. It's not just like a high and then a crash. I also feel like I don't need 10 cups of it a day, right? Like I can have it sparingly and it doesn't keep me up at night. It's very natural. It works very naturally with my body. So I had to spin the block on drinking green tea and try to give the energy drinks and the coffee a little bit of a rest. Okay, so the next thing I had to spend the block on was journaling. Yes, sitting down and writing out my feelings. Now, I had gotten away from journaling because, one, it's time consuming. Two, there are times where I do so much writing for work, writing for my show, writing for the people I consult for, and so much that I just was like, yo, I don't feel like writing anything. And so I was really struggling to like start journaling again. And actually, a digital journal is what helped me. So it's funny because, you know, I'm talking about going back to, you know, books and magazines and even some of the other things I have on this list are like physical, but actually digital journaling is what helped me. And I found a digital journal that I really love. Shout out to Jazzy Lux on Etsy. You guys should check this out because this journal, it's a gratitude journal, and it really just gives you something every single day to write about. I will definitely link it below. But one of the prompts that really, really helped me with just kind of figuring out where I was, so it's daily, and you have, you know, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, obviously. But day 4, it says, what is something in your daily routine that brings you joy? And that actually is what prompted me making this list, because I realized there were some things that I needed to reintroduce to my life that were simple things that don't cost a lot of money, things that may not take up a whole lot of time that bring me joy. And so just by journaling and writing out my thoughts, you know, which normally would be very easy for me, but because of all the things I mentioned before, having these prompts really helped me. So day 4 was really an amazing day for me. And also being able to write this digitally, having it on my iPad, just helps me sometimes do it on the go. Like I could be at a coffee shop waiting to meet someone or having just finished meeting with someone, and I'll take a second to do my journaling right then and there, because another thing I realized was I would try to save my journaling to the end of the night, right? Like I would keep a physical journal by my bed. But baby, I'm tired, right? I'm married now, so sometimes when you lay down, ain't no journaling happening, okay? Right? So, you know, it just got away from me. I stopped journaling. Having this digital journal has really been helpful. I think I will go back to physical journaling because I'm unlocking certain things and getting kind of back to being able to write out my thoughts. But having the prompts in this journal was really helpful. So shout out to Jazzy Lux. Shout out to you, Jasmine. And I will link this below so that you guys can have, you know, the opportunity to use this journal. It's on Etsy. You can download it. It's amazing. You can throw it right in your iPad and use it for yourself. Jasmine is my best friend. I may or may not keep this in here because I want y'all to really like it. Sometimes somebody's like, oh, this is my friend's thing. You're like, oh, they just saying that because it's their friend. No, no, no. I want y'all to go check out the journal. So this may not even make the video, but I love, love, love that journal. I will definitely link it below so that you guys can have it. She also has a digital planner as well that you guys can get into. And that takes me into my next thing I had to spin the block on. I had to spin the block on having an actual planner. Yes, I know. We put everything in our calendar, Google Calendar, send me an invite iCal. Baby, it was getting very confusing. And I found that some of the things I needed to take care of for my personal life were getting left out of the calendar because the calendar became about church business and, you know, my actual business. And then my husband and I shared calendar, and people invited me to meetings and invited me to events. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm getting lost in the sauce here. So I started using my calendar, my physical calendar that I had to write in, just kind of help me keep track of things. And then the calendar that I use, I got it from a store that I no longer shop at. It's by Tabitha Brown. It's a great calendar because it has affirmations. It has things where you can kind of write out your goals for that month. It has space for you to write notes. And so it's really, really helpful for me. I mainly use it as a content planning and personal calendar. So things like my doctor's appointments, things like, you know, the content I have for that month, things like places that I personally want to go for enjoyment, right? Museums, exhibits, things like that. Not business related stuff. And I use that calendar for that. And I actually find a lot of peace in it because I'm writing out things that like bring me joy and not just, oh, don't forget this appointment. Don't forget this meeting. Don't forget this thing you got to be at. Don't, you know, it's a lot when you are doing that, especially from your phone. And so having a separate calendar, I also, you know, I include important things because you don't want to forget, right? Like it's important if I'm writing out that I'm scheduling a content day, but I forget that I have some big rehearsal I got to be at for something, you know, that's not helpful. So I do put very important, like non-negotiable things that I have to do in that calendar as well. But my phone is gonna alert me for those things because I have 50 lim, calendar notifications and invitations and alerts. So I don't really have to worry about forgetting those things. So I try to use the physical planner for things that just bring me personal joy. I have found it to be very helpful, and I have found it to help me plan things like content and spending time with friends, spending time with family better, because I can look at the month and say, oh wait, you haven't spent any time with a friend you don't have any time planned. You don't have any time planned to see your nephews. You don't have any time planned to see your mom. Like, fix that, and it helps me so much, as opposed to in my phone, I'm just kind of looking. Y'all know how it is with technology, right? It doesn't feel as real. It doesn't feel as real that you don't have a time scheduled to see your family in the next 3 weeks, right? Like, but it feels real when you're writing it down, looking at it in a planner. So I had to spend the block on a physical planner. The next thing I had to spend the block on was a fragrance. I don't know if you guys remember, but if you was outside in the 2010s and you were coming of age as a woman, I would even say before that, 2007, 8, but definitely 2010s, one of the fragrances you had to have was Coco Mademoiselle. Yes, Coco Chanel Mademoiselle. Coco Mademoiselle was that girl. And let me tell you, you could smell her from down the block, okay? Sweet, just good, a good fragrance. And, with the emergence of all these new fragrance houses, and I'm a big fragrance girly, okay? I'm gonna get the fragrance. I had just stopped purchasing Coco Mademoiselle. And it's so funny because some things just go so well with your body chemistry. Like, we all know this. Fragrances smell different on every person. You can put the same fragrance on somebody right next to you, it'll smell terrible on them, but it'll smell amazing on you, or vice versa. And so I was out a couple of months ago, and I was at Saks. I was smelling all the Byredo. I was smelling all of the Creed. I was smelling all the things. And just trying to get my nose on some scents, trying to figure out what I wanted. I was actually with Jasmine, with my best friend Jasmine. And we were just kind of going through, and I saw the Chanel little area. And I was like, let me go over, because I hadn't even smelled Coco Mademoiselle in at least 5 or 6 years, 7 years. And I went to smell it, and when I tell you, all the feelings came back to me. All the feelings of just running around New York City. And like, I was known for this scent. This and Flora Botanica by Balenciaga, which they took out of production. Why? These are what I was known for. And so when I smelled it, it's like I came back to myself. Like, oh girl, yeah, like you love this. And so I came home, told my husband, like, this is what I want. He got me a bottle. I'm also going to get the oil, the shower gel, and the lotion, because I'm a layering girl. And unfortunately, it doesn't last like it used to on me, but it still lasts. It's still giving Coco Mademoiselle. It's still Chanel-y. And so I really, really love that fragrance. I had to spend the block on that, because sometimes if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Now listen, if you have stayed here this long, you're obviously enjoying what you're hearing and what you're seeing. So go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Like the video, leave a comment. I would love to hear from you. And last but not least, share this with a friend if you think they will enjoy it. The truth is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. A lot of these things that I had to spend the block on, I can't even tell you why I stopped doing them in the first place. And that's kind of how life goes. Sometimes we allow new trends. Sometimes we allow new stages in our lives. Sometimes we allow transitions to take us away from the things that were actually working for us. And so I want you to ask yourself, what are some things that I need to spend the block on? What are some things that I need to reintroduce in my life or go back to doing because they were really working for me? They made me happy. They added value to my life. And for some reason or another, I just stopped doing them. If you have something like that that you can think of, go back to it. Maybe even ask the people in your life, your friends, your family members, your spouse, if you're married, what is something that you think I need to go back to doing? And do it. Reintroduce it into your life. So last but not least, the final thing I had to spend the block on was using my physical Bible. Yes, using my physical Bible. Now some of y'all saying, I never stopped doing that. I never stopped. Good for you. Good for you. This is my 7 series, okay? This is my 7 series. Now, I've always kept all my physical Bibles. In fact, I've never thrown a Bible away. I got Bibles that are falling way apart. But if I'm honest, I've gotten into the habit of just using my phone, using my iPad. If I'm researching or putting together a sermon on my laptop, using my browser for my Bible. And I would open my Bible physically if I'm really going through something or, but in terms of walking around with my sword, I just stopped doing that. I use my phone in church. I use my phone at devotionals. I use my phone in Bible studies with other people. And I realized that although that is not wrong, there is no wrong way to read the Word of God. All right? We're not judging people and condemning them for using their phone. It's a device. And listen, some of you tap on a different app when you get on there, not the Bible. All right? So we're not judging, okay? Okay. All right. But I started using my physical Bible more and more, specifically in my times with God, my times where it's just He and I connecting, because I realized, again, it's similar to the books and the magazines. There is something very grounding and centering about actually touching pages, about actually turning pages, about actually reading through words and being able to underline things and write in the margins. And some of you don't even do that in your Bibles. Don't judge, no judgment, okay? Being able to highlight things. I have 2 different Bibles that I use. I use a New King James Version that's really big and has a lot of study parts of it and different applications that you can use. And then I have a NIV Bible that I use. I also love the NLT version of the Bible. I have a small one of those that I carry around with me. But I've been using different physical Bibles in my Bible study, and I think it's really deepened my time with God. Again, if you are using a digital version of the Bible, there's nothing wrong with that. I do that as well. Sometimes when you're cross-referencing different things, you can split the page, on your iPad and see both versions at the same time. That is very helpful, right? Sometimes if you're doing a topical study and you just want to type in a word and see how many scriptures come up with that word in it so that you can create a Bible study for yourself. Like they're all tools and they're very helpful. But I realized that I can't not never use my physical Bibles or only reserve my physical Bible for really, really difficult times. I realized that I needed to really tap back in to that type of Bible study. That's the way I learned. That's the way I came up. So anytime you are doing something in the way that you did it at first and it was healthy, there's going to be a level of not just nostalgia, but I believe refreshing that comes with that. And I have found that in using my physical Bibles again. So that was this week's 7 series. I hope that you heard something that encouraged you, maybe reminded you of something that you need to reintroduce into your life. Go ahead and leave it in the comments because I want to know. I want to know what y'all spending the block on. And listen, if it's an ex, no judgment. You feel me? Just be careful out there. But make sure that you're spinning the block on things that really did add value to your life. Sometimes we stop doing things without real rhyme or reason, and they were working. They weren't broke, but for some reason we tried to fix them, right? And I hope that this video serves as a reminder that sometimes there are things that you need to bring back. Sometimes there are things you need to go back to doing the things you did at first. I don't want to start preaching, but y'all know, right? You know what I mean? Sometimes you need to go back to those things. So let me know what you're spending the block on. This has been another installment of the 7 series, and I hope that you enjoyed it. Go ahead and subscribe. We got different types of content, podcasts, vlog, and all types of stuff on here, and I don't want you to miss any of it. Hit that notification bell, hit the likes, share with a friend, and become a part of our family over here on the Lish Speaks channel. I hope to see you back for another one. Peace.